Hey everyone, welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I want to discuss a recent article where Jason Blum, who is of course from Blumhouse Productions, has come out and publicly said some bold statements about A Nightmare on Elm Street and the franchise. And all I can say is, 1, 2, Freddy may just be coming for you. Let's go. So Jason Blum was recently interviewed on Screen Rant, and he had some very interesting things to say about A Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger. In the article, the interviewer says, "You know we want it so bad. I just did an interview yesterday with Robert Englund, which is iconic. But when I was doing research for it, it led me to a tweet from you saying that you want the rights to A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th so bad, but it hasn't happened." And then Jason responded, "I really do. Did you have that conversation with him? Is he interested?" And then the article says, "He has said multiple times he's done playing Freddy because he's 75. But I feel like if you got it, you could make it happen." And Jason replied, "I could make him come back. I could get anyone back. Ellen Burstyn was 87 and I got her back in The Exorcist." So guys, this is very exciting because it has been, no pun intended here, radio silent on the franchise for a very long time. The last time we saw a Nightmare movie was, I think it was 2010 when it came out. And, and it did not do well, as we all know. And that's, again, I think the reason why it's gone silent for over a decade. So here we are, like 12 years later, and we finally have someone in a position of power in Hollywood, in a studio, come out and say that they want the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street and they want to make a new Nightmare movie. This is so exciting to hear for all of you Nightmare on Elm Street fans, and I know you guys are out there, a lot of you here on the channel. This is big news because this means for him to come out and say this publicly, that to me means he's given it a lot of thought. It's been on Blumhouse's radar, probably a lot of discussions, and then he's dropping it out now for all of us to hear as fans that he is on the Nightmare, that Nightmare is on the radar, I should say, for Blumhouse Productions. So it's extremely exciting. And again, there's been nothing for 12 years. It's been silent. And finally, someone is coming out who actually could do a movie, could actually make this happen with their production company, Blumhouse, actually coming out and saying, yeah, I'm interested in this. And I think to better help understand what's going on with Nightmare and the current status of the Elm Street IP, here is an article from Bloody Disgusting that really does clarify everything in case you weren't aware of how it works. So the article says, "It's been a few years since we've heard a peep about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, with Bloody Disgusting reporting back in 2019 that the Craven estate was seeking out pitches for a potential next installment in the series. The U.S. rights to the franchise reverted back to the Craven estate a few years ago, so they're holding the cards at the moment. The Elm Street situation is far less complicated than Friday the 13th, and that Craven, talking about Wes Craven of course, created Freddy and wrote the original screenplay for the New Line Cinema produced/released A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven's estate is the sole owner of the U.S. rights to Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street, while New Line Cinema continues to own the international rights. So what that's really telling us is it's just clearing the air so we understand that basically Wes Craven's family, his estate, has the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger in the United States. Now, if you're going to do a major motion picture, you're going to have a theatrical release. There's going to be an international component. You don't just, and this would be a big budget movie. You go for a horror movie. This would be a very significant film, in my opinion, coming back with probably a very big time director and writer. So you're going to have to, and with Blumhouse producing it as well. So you're going to have to negotiate these international rights with New Line. So currently New Line has those rights. So Blumhouse would have to come to the table and negotiate something with New Line so that they could get this deal done. If the Craven estate granted Blumhouse the rights to make a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, then he would have the rights for the U.S. distribution locked up. And then you're going to have to, again, negotiate the international distribution. That could get a little dicey, potentially. But I would think that if Blumhouse did secure an agreement from the Craven estate for film again, then I suspect if you go to New Line and the executive heads and you say, hey, I've got the rights to the U.S. locked up and we need to negotiate a deal here, and then what's on the table? It always comes down to the bottom line. What kind of a financial deal could you work to have it made with international distribution? I think they could get it done. Jason Blum could get it done. And in a situation like that, Jason Blum is showing up at the meeting himself to make that deal happen. So that leaves us with a couple of questions. Assuming Blumhouse was able to pull this off and Jason Blum could make another incarnation of A Nightmare on Elm Street, what would that movie look like? Now, he says he thinks he can get Robert Englund to come back. Robert said he's done playing Freddy. He's not going to do it again. He's 75. So my question is, what do you think? Could it be that Jason could actually get Robert to come back? Now, I know at that age, you would obviously have a lot of stunt work. So a lot of stunt work would be done, for specific scenes, but you could still use Robert for the up close shots. And when when there's not running around and jumping around and doing all the crazy stunts you would do in a Nightmare movie, you have your stunt double do those things. Robert can do the rest. I think you could do that. Totally do that. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had just one more final Halloween. Sorry, I'm brains everywhere. One more final Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger, with Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger is what I mean. One last Robert Englund movie as Freddy, the final send-off, and we could go to the theaters, all of us knowing this is the final time we're going to see Robert in the makeup as Freddy Krueger. That would just be an epic way to do it. Give him an epic film, and that's it. We all say goodbye to him, and then you have to then start thinking about casting a new Freddy. I'll save that for another video. I'll leave it there for now, guys. But I want to know what you think about a potential return of A Nightmare on Elm Street under the Blumhouse production label, if Jason can work out a deal with Wes Craven's estate and broker a New Line deal with for international rights. Let me know what you guys think about that. I want to hear your thoughts and ideas, theories, and comments. Everything in the comments section below right now. Let's start talking about it. Well, that's going to be it for this update, guys, but I'll be back soon with more A Nightmare on Elm Street and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thank you for watching.